Hello, today I'm going to go over the tutorial on how to make this hinge. This tutorial is for beginners, and I'm also not going to dimension or constrain this more than needed because just to keep the tutorial short. So let's get at it. I'm going to go into my top plane and sketch on that, and on that I'm going to put a square and I'm going to divide it by the center, which choose here, and say OK. And I'm just going to eyeball everything pretty much today and say OK there. And then on here, I'm going to finish sketch here. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to bring it down and say OK. And I'm going to sketch on here. And I'm going to use the square again to find it by center. And I'm going to put my mid snaps on just to make it easier. And say here, and I'm going to go here and say OK. Actually, that should be a little bit more. Say OK, and then I want to come again with the midpoint and just make this part and say OK. And then I want to also convert entities. I'm going to convert this and say OK. I'm going to cut all this out that I don't need. And say OK. And get out of the sketch. And on this I want to extrude the surface. And I want to do mid plane. And I want to pull that up and say OK. And now I want to go into my miscellaneous. This is where I go into my features. I'm sorry, and I go into where is it? I want to find split command, and I want to choose this. I'm going to choose that. I want to say cut part, and then I want to check both parts. I want to check which parts I want to keep, and in this instance we want to keep both of them, and I say OK. And now I come here and I hide this, and now we have our two parts. And the next part is to sketch a circle, sketch on this face, and I'm going to sketch a circle. And I'm going to make it tangent to here. Say OK. And now I want to bring it back to the size that I think the hinge would be. And that looks good. And next is I want to get out of this. And I want to extrude this. I want to do a surface extrude. And I want to go up to surface and select this one. And say OK. And the next thing I want to do is put a plane on top of here. So I select the face, and then I come into plane, and that's a good height, and say OK. And then I want to sketch on that plane. And here I'm just going to sketch two lines. And this line I want collinear with this line, and just put one more line and say OK. And I want to dimension this, make that 0.4 and say OK. And I want to select both of these and control drag this here, and then I want to take this line and this one, make it collinear, and say OK. And for some reason I have another one, so let me get rid of this, edit sketch, and let me delete this, Okay, and finish sketch. And now I want to go into curves, split line, and select my lines that I want to split, and it's selected. And then I select what I want to split and say OK. And now I'm going to go into delete faces, and I want to select what I want to delete, and it's that and that, and say OK. And the next step would be to thicken, so I go into my features, actually I go into my surfaces and select thicken, and we want to thicken this on the inside, and I want to go maybe 0.25. And that's good. And I forgot one more thing. Edit feature. You gotta make sure you untick merge results. Say OK. I want to thicken this. Thicken this. Say OK. And once again, I forgot to merge the results. That's very important. And then thicken again one more time here. Sorry about that. And now I want to untick merge results and say OK. Alright, and now we got that. And the next thing we're going to do is sketch on here and say sketch. And then we're going to convert entities. And I'm going to select this inside and say OK. And finish a sketch. And I want to extrude a cut through this whole thing. So it could just say through all. Say OK. And now we got our thing. And the next thing I want to do is I want to put a plane a little bit away from here. So I'm going to select that face and say plane. And then I want it only maybe 5 mil. Actually 1.5 mil. That's good. Say OK. Now I'm going to sketch on that plane. And I'm just going to move this out of my way. Then I'm going to go convert entities again. Select this again. I'll just put a circle, it'll be easier. And say OK. And then we want to extrude this. And reverse. Actually, I want to do an offset from surface. And I want to do 1.5 mil. And it's on the wrong side. So I gotta flip that, reverse direction, say OK, merge results, no, say OK, and we're almost there. The next part is we could do that, or we could do, the holes are pretty easy, we'll just do that real quick then. I'm going to sketch on here. And I'm going to do a circle here in the center. Let me just put a line. Sorry about that. Put a line here. And put a line here. And put a circle. Like this. Okay. Then here I'm going to find the center.